using the slope and y-intercept form of a line. This really has to be solved for y first in order to see the slope and the y-intercept. So we're going to do that first in our problem. We've already actually worked this part in the first part of number 1. So our slope and y-intercept is the one that you're probably most familiar with, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y value of the y-intercept. If we were to write our y-intercept, it would be 0, b. Okay, so let's do that with our last problem on number 1, graph using the slope and y-intercept. Again, this is in standard form. We need to change it to slope-intercept form. We're going to solve for y in order to do that. So our first step is to subtract 2x from both sides. We have 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. Again, notice how I put the negative 2x first and then the constant in the back. Lastly, we're going to divide out this 3 into each term. This cancels. I get y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. Now, instead of doing our x and y chart like we did in the first method, we are going to directly use the information that's given to us in this linear equation. So normally we have y equals mx plus b is our slope y-intercept form of the equation. Let's compare that to the one we got. So m in our equation is negative 2/3. B in our equation is 2. Now, B is not the y-intercept. Again, it is the y value of the y-intercept. So in order to find the y-intercept, we need to write the point 0, b, and b in this problem is 2. Okay? That should be all the information we need to know in order to graph. So let's graph this. We're going to start with the y-intercept. So we're going to start with 0, 2. 0, 2. That's our y-intercept. Again, y-intercept is the point that crosses, where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, let's look at this slope for a minute. So my slope is negative 2/3. It is interesting if this is a negative because your negative could actually go on top. It could go on the bottom, or sometimes in MyLabs Plus they just want it out front. Okay? Depending on how you think of this will make it, will depend on how you actually graph from here. Many times I will go with the first method, the first option here. I want that negative to be on top. So slope is rise over run. Here, instead of going up, our negative will tell us to go down 2. If I choose to put the negative on the top, then I will think of this as a positive 3. So I'm going to run to the right 3. So let's think about that. Let's come over here. I have my y-intercept. I'm going down 2. And then I'm from there going right 3. 1, 2, 3. And if you remember, this is exactly the same thing as we got on the second part. This is our x and y intercepts. Okay, I want to quickly show you what happens if you were to choose this option with a negative on the bottom. So if you have your negative on the bottom, you're going to rise 2. Rise 2. So this means I'm going up 2. And instead of running to the right, if it's positive, This is telling me it's negative, so I'm going to run to the left 3. Let's see what happens when we do that. So again, we're starting back from that y-intercept. We're going to go up 2 and left 3. 1, 2, 3. And you see, no matter which way you choose to do this, and you just pick one, you'll still get a line. So it doesn't matter which one you choose. You just need to pick one and be consistent. Many times in my math lab, they do not allow you, just based on the graph, to go down. So you may have to know this way. But understand both ways. Pick one, be consistent, unless my math lab doesn't allow you to do one or the other. Okay? If we connect the dots, we'll see. Again, not perfect. That was not a real good line. There we go. We'll see that this is the exact same thing as what we got here and here. So again, it doesn't matter which way you do it. You can choose which way you want to do it. A little hint on this. A lot of times, if the graph is in slope-intercept form, if it's in this form, not slope-intercept form, standard form, if it's in standard form and you end up having to solve for y, notice when I do the x and y intercepts, I didn't have to do that. I could just go straight to the equation. So sometimes using the x and y intercepts is better if the equation is in standard form. If the equation already has y equal, or if it's in slope-intercept form, then it's easier to do either the x or y chart or go directly to the slope-intercept form of the line and graph using that.